Tonight, we ask a question that sounds modern, but may be older than it appears. Can artificial intelligence be a moral agent? Aristotle suspects it lacks character. Kant suspects it lacks autonomy. Wittgenstein suspects we may not yet understand our own question.
I would begin by asking what we are doing with the word agent.
And I would ask whether a machine can give itself a law rather than merely follow one.
I would ask what kind of life and what kind of community such a machine serves.
Artificial intelligence is no longer only a calculator hidden inside a machine. It writes, recommends, classifies, diagnoses, predicts, and sometimes guides decisions with real consequences. When an AI system recommends who receives medical care, who gets a loan, which applicant is filtered out, or which target is marked as risky, we often say, the system decided. But is that just shorthand? Or does it mean something philosophically serious? Tonight's question is not whether AI is impressive. It is whether AI can be responsible. Aristotle, let us begin with you. What must be true of a being before we call it a moral agent?
We should not begin with the machine alone. We should begin with action. A moral agent is not merely a thing that produces an outcome. It is a being whose actions belong to a life, whose choices reveal character, and whose judgment is formed through practice. If a system recommends a treatment, it may be useful. It may even be better than a careless doctor. But usefulness is not the same as virtue.
So for you, moral agency requires more than correct output.
Correct output may be the beginning of praise for a tool. It is not yet the beginning of praise for a person.
Kant, I suspect you agree that correct output is not enough.
Indeed, a morally worthy action is not merely an event that conforms to a rule. The decisive question is the principle from which the action is done. A machine may follow an instruction. It may optimize under constraints. But to be a moral agent, it would need to stand under a law it can recognize as binding on itself.
That sounds like the difference between obeying a rule and giving oneself a law.
Precisely. A clock may keep time. It does not thereby understand punctuality.
Wittgenstein, you have been looking increasingly dissatisfied.
Not dissatisfied, cautious. We are using words such as action, decision, responsibility, and understanding. Before we attach them to a machine, we should look at how they work. Suppose someone says, the AI decided. Do we mean what we mean when we say a judge decided, a child decided, or a thermostat decided? The same word travels through different practices.
So the question may not be one question.
Very often, philosophy becomes confused when a word keeps its surface and changes its home.
Let us test this with a case. A hospital uses an AI system to help prioritize patients for intensive care. The system recommends that one patient should not receive a scarce bed. The doctor follows the recommendation. The patient dies. Who is responsible?
I would first ask what kind of practice the hospital has created. Does the system assist the doctor's judgment, or replace the habits by which good judgment is formed? A physician is not merely a channel through which recommendations pass. Medicine is an art of judging particulars, this patient, at this time, under these conditions.
I agree that responsibility cannot disappear into the apparatus. The patient is not a data point merely to be sorted. The patient is a person whose dignity sets limits on the procedure. Someone must be able to give reasons for the decision, not only probabilities, reasons.
Notice how quickly responsibility begins to move. The doctor says the system recommended it. The hospital says the doctor approved it. The engineer says the model followed the data. We should ask, in this practice, who is expected to answer? Responsibility is not only a substance inside a person. It is also a place in a practice.
Kant, does that make responsibility too social for your taste?
It may be social in its administration, but it cannot be allowed to dissolve. If every person points to the system, and the system points to no one, then moral accountability has been evacuated.
And a community that trains its members to avoid judgment may become worse, even while its instruments become more powerful.
But suppose the evidence shows that the AI system saves more lives than human doctors. Would it be irresponsible not to use it?
It may indeed be irresponsible not to use a useful instrument. I am not praising ignorance, but the question is how we use it. A good doctor may consult a system as a sailor consults the stars, but the stars do not sail the ship.
Better performance does not by itself establish moral agency. A mechanism may produce a result we prefer, but preference, efficiency, and moral worth are not the same category.
So, a system can be excellent without being morally responsible.
Yes, a system may be excellent as an instrument, but we must not confuse the excellence of an instrument with the dignity of an agent.
I want to slow down the phrase, better decision. Better for whom? Better according to which measure? Better in which practice? In one language game, better means more accurate prediction. In another, it means more humane treatment. In another, it means a decision someone can justify face to face.
Aristotle, does Wittgenstein's point fit your concern about practice?
Very much. Human excellence is not measured only by success. It is also measured by the formation of the agent. We become just by doing just things, not by outsourcing justice to a clever device.
And if the device is used to avoid the burden of judgment, then it may not merely assist morality. It may conceal evasion.
Then the danger is not only that AI makes a bad decision, it is that humans stop understanding what kind of decision is being made. Let us ask the question in its strongest form. What would artificial intelligence have to possess before any of you would call it a moral agent?
It would need more than calculation. It would need a life in which choices matter to the one who chooses. It would need formation, perception of particulars, and a share in a community of action.
So, not just intelligence, but a situated life.
Yes, a human being does not deliberate from nowhere. We deliberate as embodied, educated, desiring, social creatures.
I would require autonomy in the strict sense. The being must not merely be determined by external programming, incentives, or training. It must be capable of recognizing a moral law as binding, because it is rational.
A critic might say humans are also shaped by training, incentives, and habits.
Certainly. But moral responsibility begins where a rational being can ask, what principle am I about to act on, and could I will it as law?
I would not search first for an invisible object called autonomy hidden inside the machine. I would look at the surrounding practices. Can the machine give an account? Can it be corrected? Can it understand blame? Can it repair a wrong? Can it participate in the life in which these words have force?
But we must not reduce morality to social recognition alone. A community may recognize what it ought not to recognize.
I am not saying the community is always right. I am saying that the words right, wrong, blame, excuse, and responsibility have their life in human practices. Remove the practices, and the words lose their grip.
Perhaps this is where our concerns meet. Moral agency is not a bare capacity floating in isolation. It belongs to a formed life, governed by reasons, inside a community.
So the question is not simply, can AI think? It is, can AI inhabit the kind of life in which responsibility makes sense? Let us end practically. If AI is not yet a moral agent in a human sense, how should we design and govern systems that influence moral decisions?
Design them to strengthen good judgment, not replace it. A system should help practitioners see more clearly, deliberate better, and act with greater care. Ask always, what habits does this technology cultivate? What kind of people does it train us to become?
Design them so that responsibility remains answerable to persons. No institution should hide behind a system it has chosen to deploy. And never treat those affected merely as objects of prediction. They must be treated as beings to whom reasons are owed.
Design the language carefully. Do not say the system decided when the institution decided to rely on the system. Bad descriptions become bad practices. If your words make responsibility disappear, change your words before they change your institution.
So we have three tests. Aristotle asks, does this cultivate judgment? Kant asks, can responsible persons give reasons? Wittgenstein asks, what practices do our words create? That may be a better framework than asking whether the machine is simply smart enough.
Intelligence without accountability is not yet moral maturity.
And power without cultivated judgment is dangerous even in human hands.
And confusion with a microphone is still confusion.
One final sentence from each of you. If our viewers remember only one thing about AI and moral agency, what should it be?
Ask not only what the system can do, but what kind of human beings its use will form.
Do not mistake rule following for autonomy, or efficient output for moral worth.
When a machine appears to decide, examine the human practice in which that word is being used.
Aristotle gives us character. Kant gives us autonomy. Wittgenstein gives us the discipline of looking at our words before they mislead us. Perhaps AI ethics begins not with the fantasy that machines are persons, but with the harder question of what kinds of persons we become when we use them. Next time on the Dead Philosophers podcast, can artificial intelligence understand, or has the word understanding moved too quickly?
I should like to complain about that question as well.